I am to report right now 6/8/23 at 8:30 a.m. They're coming and going from the backyard of Al Mob in sync with blasting the TV, and this property, it's a compound here. And who knows what they're doing everywhere else here. This is jaw-dropping. I can testify the TV in the murder room has been blasting since yesterday. It's been going now 48 hours without barely going off. It just goes on, off. Certainly when I'm moving around in my second floor, like I have reported. But it gets louder, the same deal when I enter in there. And when I enter in there, it is already at a blasting loud volume, so they clearly have surveillance of some kind that they are still protected to use. I need to mention the Secret Service green light. Yesterday's combat, the only thing I could really talk about yesterday and report that morning, which is 24 hours later, okay, remember that this is very common here with me, that had to do with the Secret Service, which they've been stalking me for 5 years, far and well before I ever came into a terror cell that they are part of. They have crawled through cubby holes here along with DHS and FBI. Okay, so this is a federal agent police militia, okay? Let's be clear. And with many DCPD, so it's law enforcement. Okay, it's ISIS ideologies, and it's for the interest of Iran. This is Iranian terror. It's hard for me as a, untrained professional too, and it's a mouthful. In junior college, I got screwed by the U.S. government, so I was right out of junior college. So, I mean, I've done the best I can to my best abilities, vicariously working with the people who would have hired me and who did. You can clearly see that they are around me and present in my life due to the very example and fact evidence exhibited that I am alive in this terror cell. But also, we need to discuss again that I lived through last night a huge bout of toxic chemical gas. I'm just fucking living through this stuff, and I have a lot of thoughts and emotions about that for one, they're still using it, and for two, that nobody wants to even discuss this with me. I mean, this is highly toxic, illegal chemical gas that they have rigged up to valves, and they turn on and off, and I don't know who's doing that. I assume it's dirty feds. Okay, and that explains the shop. Right, that's been just going. It was only off, I reported when it was off, and now it's back on. That TV never goes off. It's blasting. I reported when it's off, and then I can say we're back to another stint where it's just gonna blast for days and days and days. Shop open. They're harvesting organs up there, dude. I'm sorry, I say wrong because I'm traumatized in here. I don't need to make it any more clear that they're harvesting organs and making bombs, and that shit's done. My job is done on that. What's appalling is that the female terrorist went and sat on the porch again. What's appalling is that I filmed the male terrorist who crawls in cubby holes and harvests organs. He does a lot of bomb stuff too. I gotta plug my ears here. He does tons of WMD, weapons of mass destruction stuff. I don't have a lot of words. That white male who I can never talk about from 1507, he's coming and going. She's on the porch. I can't say a fucking word hardly ever about the gas that's flowing in here, about the murders. I witnessed murders yesterday, and I witnessed tons of toxic gas. I couldn't say a word. I witnessed them every time I went out of my room. They were flying panorama in the bathroom. I witnessed serious fucking terrorism yesterday. Serious fucking violent offenses, and I can't say a fucking word, and then I see that they're just hanging out on the porch, strolling down the sidewalk. And this is my thoughts I had this morning, because I have my coffee going. I have to make coffee by hand here. I'm in utter abject poverty for multiple years. Left to die in a terrorist cell. Multiple years before that. It was just my fate that I responded to an ad while in utter abject poverty that was an organized crime drug mules. These were drug mules here, and the females were involved with prostitution, is a guarantee. And they radicalized and brought in and made a terrorist cell out of their house. Now, the male in the basement has been going around with imams for decades, so don't quote me on exactly everything how this started here. My God, no. That's for the special ops. They know all that, okay? I know they do. But I responded to an ad here, okay? Because I was so fucking poor. And I had Americans just rejecting me for jobs, rejecting me for housing, just rejecting everything I ever asked and begged. Nobody would do the courtesy or assistance. The Americans have destroyed themselves at every turn. At every turn, not only did they set their own forest on fire here to have a revolution for white power, they were setting their own forest fires. Not only did they do that, not only did they bring themselves utter destruction by involving themselves with radical Muslim terrorists for white power, but they just rejected and demoralized anyone around them in the population and communities that opposed it. So they made enemies, and they just showed, while demoralizing and dehumanizing anyone else, they showed the world how depraved they are. Nobody is wondering what's going on here. And that's what I want to get to my point, because I'm making my coffee. What I was thinking when I was in there, I'm hearing the blasting TV, the surveillance is still going. I was thinking about yesterday's Secret Service and that combat going on underneath my fucking floors. The stuff I witnessed under my floors I still can't talk about. And it's a common occurrence, and I'm like, this is no. And then you start to get that reality sets in, and you're like, the city cannot have a terrorist cell like this. No, dude. And their terrorists cannot be sitting on the porch. And then my closing thought is, do you realize what kind of people are in this city? And no wonder why they've been classified domestic terrorists. Because what I see when I go and take my garbage out, which is all I'm able to do, when I can, because I'm usually a hostage in here, because every time I leave my room, the terrorists start crawling through cubby holes. Do you realize what kind of people are in this city? Oh, I do. That they are totally for this, that this is perfectly okay with them to walk past a dangerous psychotic who's sitting on her porch, who gathers weird weeds in her yard and adds it to the human organs and tissues that she ingests and consumes after she's chopped up those bodies in the bedroom of that house, of the porch that she's sitting on. This is perfectly okay with the people strolling by. No, I'm dead serious. I would tell a top cop this. I am saying this on video. It's really starting to hit me how far gone, how checked out of reality the population is here. Do you realize what kind of fucking people are in this city? Okay, goodbye.